So now we're at a point where we have to think about how we want to proceed. And since we can check out with our authenticated user, we haven't figured out how to check out with a guest user yet. So what is checkout really doing? It's kind of completing an order. Now our cart isn't really an order. It's kind of preparing the order, but it hasn't moved from being just items in your cart to being actually the order, right? So we have a general idea of what it's going to be, but it's not for sure going to happen. So what we want to do now is start to create an app that handles orders. So the actual process of the checkout. So that means that when we go to the checkout process, it actually creates a brand new order. Now, if they stop in the checkout process, that means that order was abandoned and the cart is no longer relevant, but the order itself was abandoned and it wasn't actually finished for whatever reason. So since that we're going to do it that way, we want to create a new app called Orders. So I'll do Python manage.py start app orders. And in this app, let's go ahead and look at it. Orders and models. The first thing I want to do is say class guest order. So models.model. So this right here is going to be the guest order that we're going to be working with. In fact, instead of calling it guest order, it should be called guest checkout because we're going to get an email. And from that email, we're going to basically set up an order that's going to be associated to it. But really, we just want to get the email and probably some sort of merchant ID, which we have not covered yet on either front, whether it's a guest or not. But we definitely are going to want to get that email. So let's put an email here for now. And we'll say email equals to models.email field. And this is going to be required and all that. So we'll just leave that here. And then we'll define the Unicode or the string, depending on if you're in Python 3. And hit self. And again, if you're Python 3, make sure those are 2 underscores there. We're going to return self.email. All right, so I'm not going to migrate or add it to the app quite yet, because if we have our checkout, our guest checkout being just this email, then let's think about what our order is going to be. So order is going to be models.model. So first off, I'm going to have a cart that's associated, as should be expected, a user. So if this is going to be required or not, so this is not required, basically. A guest, also not required. And then we will want to get the shipping address. So shipping address. Billing address, so addresses, basically. Billing address. And then the shipping total, like price-wise. And then order total. So cart total plus shipping. All right. So the last thing, let's see, do we need anything else on our order? We might want to have an order ID, so generate its own custom ID versus just the standard default order. So these two things are kind of in the part where it's like, are we going to be using 2 different setups here? Now we can, so the reason I bring this up is because of this guest checkout part right here. We could do a guest checkout where it's really just user checkout, and it's going to be either user, which could be optional. It's going to get the email, so either way, this is required, right? Whether it's the user itself or it's going to be a guest user. So this is actually the way that I'm going to go about doing it. So then down here, our order only has the user checkout. So user checkout, and then this is required. The reason I'm doing it this way is because then our order definitely has somebody associated to it, and it will have to have some user checkout associated to it instead of having 2 optional fields. So basically, all of these fields are required, is what it comes down to for this order. It has to have a cart, it has to have a user checkout of some kind, or the user that's doing the checkout, basically, shipping address, billing, shipping price, how much the shipping costs, total of the order, and then finally an order ID, so a custom ID that will generate based off of this stuff. So since we have this kind of thought out, I'm going to comment it out for now and finish off this user checkout stuff because this order, we don't actually create it until we can get past the part where we're at in the checkout process. So let's add this user, and I'll do models.foreign key, and it's going to be settings.auth user model. Now, of course, I need to actually add in the auth user or the settings itself. So from Django.conf import settings. So this works. And this can be null equals to true and blank equals to true. Very important here. It's really for anonymous users. This is not required. Now, the email field is definitely required. Merchant ID, I'm also going to get rid of that and just not think of that at all. But the user checkout, the other side of this is if it is an auth user, we might want it to be a one-to-one field, because the user checkout, if I'm a user and I'm authenticated, I should only have one sort of user checkout, if you will. So the email that's on associated to my user account is the email that's going to be used in this checkout process. But if I'm also signing up as a new user, right? So if I am a new user, I want to associate this user checkout to the email that I have as well. So these things will come a little bit more clear as we actually build this. So let's put this now into our actual app. We'll go into local, and we're going to put it in here as orders, right under newsletter. And we'll do Python manage.py, make migrations, and then Python manage.py, migrate, go back to run the server. So back into our project. All right, so we have the model user checkout all set up. So now we just need to create the form for it, and that's something we'll do in the next one.